Hello and welcome all across the world on our beautiful paradise planet, our Earth that is an anagram of heart. Welcome to Checkmating Wetiko, Decoding and Eliminating World War III, Part 2. This is a video series that I only started yesterday, and I didn't have any plan whatsoever to do this. It just came out of nowhere. And also, what do I got with this? Okay, we're talking Planetary Intelligence Agency picking up, decoding from the natural field of reality, also in science called the Schumann resonance, can also be seen as the wood wide web. It's all science, that's the pure science, and that is the natural internet. That informs, and through the decoding systems of the mind of each individual, is decoded and manifested as our reality, as natural reality, in comparison to artificial reality. And there's a big difference between those two. There is a massive war going on in which Wetiko, okay, the force of Wetiko, the force field of Wetiko, wishes to impose full-blown war again on Earth in a desperate attempt to complete what is an invasion, colonization by off-planet entities that are alien to this planet. It's a force of invasion, and colonization is not something that happened in the 18th, 19th century. And what we can learn in the history books about colonization and Christopher Columbus and the triangle trade between Africa, America, and Europe, and human slavery, because colonization has been expanded to include everyone. In other words, slavery, with what is termed as globalization. Since the Second World War, slavery has only expanded to include everyone. That is the hidden modus operandi of the invading force. That is a force of infiltration. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because we're talking about stratagem of war. And ever since I've been on this planet, in this lifetime, the world has been at war. So I remember when I was a little child, with 9 years old, I saw that there was a war going on in Yugoslavia. And it was all hot in the news that the NATO bombings of Yugoslavia in Belgrade. And that was in 1999, also the same year where the Matrix movie came out and hit the projection on the screen of movie theaters called cinemas. And we've been engaged in, the Earth has been the playing field of war for a very long time. And the Earth, the living organism, the living being that Earth is, has quite frankly all reason to be fed up and done with all war. She doesn't want any war. This is Earth's will. This is a planet. This is a consciousness. We know this. It's all science. It's scientifically proven that everything is conscious. They just don't want us not only knowing about it, but actually acting according to that. And the Earth is angry. If you think Steve gets angry sometimes and shouts a little loud, you've seen nothing. How the Earth feels like. Nothing. And no matter whenever you see me shout, I can guarantee I'm not going over 50% of how I actually feel. Because I feel the Earth big time. It's my job as a diplomat of Earth to feel the Earth. I feel the Earth and I decode of the Earth. I decode the natural internet, the natural reality, the natural field of consciousness. It's organic. It manifests as holistic intelligence that trips out the matrix and trips out agents of the matrix. And then they look akin to this. What do you mean? Private liability? Well, your dumb face, your stupidity will be your downfall. So it's independent if you satanists who think you can infiltrate and take over this planet and enslave humanity, if you understand the language that I'm talking. The universe is listening. The source is listening. And I know you are listening. And the universe rewards intelligence. The universe does not reward stupidity and ignorance, because the universe rewards intelligence. And it doesn't give a fuck if you're too demented and too up your ass with your head in your ass and don't understand it. It doesn't care. You are liable for genocide anyway. You are liable for human trafficking anyway. You are liable for organ trafficking anyway. You are liable for pedophilia, in other words, fucking our children anyway. You are liable for satanic ritual abuse anyway. You are liable for economic devastation and economic warfare anyway. You are liable for psychological warfare anyway. You are liable for physical warfare in places like the Ukraine, Syria, Palestine, and the list goes on anyway. And your trial and your court is here right now in the form of me speaking. And this is just the beginning. It is what I like to call the inevitability, like any seed put into earth, watered together with sunlight and the natural habitat, creates the plant, creates the flower, creates the fruit, does it every year, never lets anyone down. That's how clear this is. Do you understand? Satanic involutionary force and Satanists as agents of the involutionary force. Do you understand this command? Do you understand who is in charge of this reality? Because if you don't, you're liable anyway. And it's no one else's problem but yours if your intelligence is not that far. To get that out of the way. Because I'm not kidding. I'm not doing this because I have to speak this language now and I'm making new videos and I've just started a new video series. I do this because this is leading up to the real thing. Well, first it comes over the radio waves and they're all tuning in. Make no bones about this. They can't wait to get the newest news. All right? Because they always need to be aware, okay, in their sense. Their power, their supposed power, which is not power, okay, it's the abuse of power. It's control, because they are in fear. It's a fear-based mind control system that they're running and have run on planet Earth. And it's not power. However, they want to keep in their dementia, all right? Again, I'm going to repeat that. You guys listening, you Satanists, all right? Your intelligence is only inside of a bubble, okay? A bubble called the Wetiko Matrix, the AI 5G Wetiko Matrix. It's a bubble because creation limits those who abuse, torture, and rape other beings. They limit the level of perception and the level of information that they have access to. Because of your immorality, you are limited. And it's me, Stephen Wybrow, diplomat of Earth, speaking to you outside of that bubble. I'm everywhere. I know I'm giving you quite a headache how this works, but I'm living proof that it works. I'm living proof that no one is allowed to come close to me. And no one's allowed to influence and distort my work in any way, shape, or form. I know how to fend off any attack on me because I know how this AI 5G Wetiko Matrix works. And this is only your bubble, okay? This is where you are. I'm outside here. I could be anywhere. The Eagle Thunderbird vision outside of this reality looking in. That's why I get my signal from. That's why it's a big problem for you, but that's none of my problem. It's none of the problem of the human family. Those who are native to Earth, that you in your inverted consciousness try to frame as illegal immigrants and asylum seekers like Eril Kaya, who is native to Earth. You are not. And I know who you are. So I can guarantee that they're listening in on everything because in their dementia, again, they're only in the bubble. I'm outside everywhere. In their dementia, they want to keep an upper hand through access to the latest information, access to the most extraordinary information, okay? Because up to now, their power, okay, their power over us of this dark force, okay, these dark occultists, that is a force of invasion. Their intention was, okay, and special emphasis on was, their intention was to invade the earth and to make those who are native to earth as their slaves. Everyone under a social credit score AI 5G matrix system, where they're gods over this world and they are not native to earth, okay? They have a different consciousness. And it's what I call the Archon vampire empire. And they are not human. So up to now, and it's been a solid progression, all right? It's been a modus operandi over centuries. We don't exactly know when they started to really get the upper hand over the whole world, because that is going to be an important field of research in the time after this invasion has stopped, because I'm stopping it right now. And we're going to have to find out, okay, about our true history. It's going to be, everyone is going to be tasked, whoever wants to join, all right? And there's many people like me very interested in history. I would like to be part of that research. When, how, and everything, how it worked out. But first we have to eliminate the threat. And I would say that a major date we can name is the end of the Napoleonic War. All right, right from the French Revolution, 1789, up to 1814, 1815, the Napoleonic Wars. And since then, they have set up shop. And their most important point of the takeover of their invasion of Earth was to take control of the monetary system. So we are speaking about, this was the beginnings of this. You can pick it up also in the 18th century, of course, with a family called Bauer, renamed itself in the city of Frankfurt in Germany as the House of Rothschild, okay, a major banking dynasty. And 19th century, all right, 19th century right up into the 20th century, okay? I'm just making broad overviews because there's a lot of things to cover. I'm not gonna get hooked up in details here, all right? I want the overview. So we have 1913. That is a very important date. 1912, 1913, one of the two. The Titanic also sunk, all right? That had people on the Titanic that wanted to prevent the takeover of the banking system in the United States of America. And that was a major pillar for their invasion. This is a long-term strategy. Long-term strategy, okay? I'm not just talking about 2020, the crisis of 2020, and suddenly we have to fix this problem. This goes back far longer, as many listening here know. And many listening here also know that we don't know our true history, okay? I studied history at the University of Vienna, as I said yesterday, to find out that it's very important for them to hide history. And the basis of the dark force, okay, the dark side of the force, of the source, being in charge on Earth here, has been because of a knowledge differential. They have access to knowledge that they want to rather hide from the target population. That is literal. That's how they call us. We are not only the human resources, they call us. We're not only human resources, but actually the target population. And they need to hide certain type of information. So I could go and take a similar sort of analysis of geopolitics and the war in the Ukraine and Russia and the West, and how the West has invaded many countries, and Russia is sort of like maybe the good guys. They have every right to do their actions because Russia doesn't want the Ukraine to join NATO because that's right in front of the doorstep of Russia, and this and that and blah, 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 blah. No. We've run out of time, Neo. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But I'm here to tell you that fortunately, we've run out of time because we're not interested in that bullshit talk anymore, are we? I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in that. I've had this for a long time, just talking, nothing ever happens. And you've got the QAnon psyop, oh, the white hats and all that, and everyone's being distracted. And now Putin suddenly has a right to know. It's all a big theater show, and they're all controlled by the same force that I'm claiming and showing is in checkmate. Satan is in checkmate. That means everyone underneath him, their boss, is in checkmate. Okay, the Satanists listening to this, or if you're from intelligence services, you're listening to planetary intelligence services. Okay, just write that down. Okay, you probably have it on your billboard with my picture on there and all the connections that I have. Good. And also write to it, the Department of the Slave is here. Okay, so if you want to get slayed, we're the Department of the Slave. But book a ticket before you come, will ya? We don't want people to be unfriendly and just show up in front of our door, because we don't show up in front of your fucking door, are we? It's called manners. Yeah, you've long forgotten, haven't you? Because you're too used to just overstep boundaries at any time of the day. Because you want to, because you're a control freak, because you live in fear, because the underlying issue of that is you hate yourself. Yeah, that's the truth. That's why you are not power. How could you be in power when I'm in power and you have to listen to me speak to find out what the next move is, because it's out of your control, isn't it? Yeah, about time it's out of your control. You don't run this reality. You don't run Earth. You run a control system that is in checkmate. Do you understand? Yes, good. The control system has been in place with this. Oh, and by the way, I've got a pleasant surprise. Don't have to draw any pyramids anymore. I've got a pyramid. Isn't that a beautiful pyramid? I got it from Bosnia. Yeah, I'm connected to Bosnia. You know about this? CIA, Mossad. Hope you've done your research on Bosnia. Pyramid power. Yeah, because I'm connected to it right now. Because I say so. Because I know how the pyramid works. And it has to do with magnetism, yeah. That which you taunted me with in the mainstream media here in Austria. This Steve guy talks about magnetism on the stage. Yeah. Not laughing now, are you? Good. Pyramid power. I'm connected to Bosnia because I was there. I know how it works. Got my energetic footprints there. And that's what's working on this planet. It's called power, natural power, that which you don't have. Because you're running a control grid, control system. And you need to be in control, don't you? But that's over now. We're taking over. And you see, we're taking you down. Everyone listening to this, we're taking you down. You're not getting away with it anymore. Criminals are not allowed on this planet anymore. And all your criminal behavior is not allowed on this planet anymore. Criminals are privately liable to the extent of infinity. Go and ask the man who at times acts as director of the Bundesamt für Fremdenwesen und Asyl here in Austria. Clock's ticking. Every second we're getting a euro in our bank for the kidnapping and trespass by way of kidnapping and human trafficking of Eril Kaya, who we're getting out tomorrow, because that's out of your control also. Oh, once you lose control, you lose it all. Yeah. Getting Errol out tomorrow because we say so, because we're in charge. And every second, getting a euro in the bank. But you see, I don't give a fuck about money. Because I don't think like you guys. I think very different, actually. And there's a whole lot of things that I know that you don't know. And I only use the money element in the notice because that's the only language you understand. That's what makes you trip out. That's what makes you take notice. It's like a computer you switch on. Boy, oh boy. And I want to say this to the community, especially here, okay? Because I really know that the Satanists don't like me to speak generally, but they especially don't want me to speak like this now. We all have to get it into our heart, all right? I don't know about you. I know it's that time, okay? We have to get it into our heart and into our mind and into our imagination, okay? Very important, imagination. That we are taking them down. Envision it, imagine it, be it, own it. We're taking them down. We're going to be the ones who are going to be speaking. They have to come to us, the Rothschilds, okay, all these Truman Show actors, the ones of the banking syndicate, the sort of like the front cover of the magazine, those they represent, all right, the oligarchs, Elon Musk's, and all of them. They have to come to us and beg on their knees, beg for forgiveness and beg that they can even stay here. And the answer is no already. Because we all here on Earth need holiday from dirtbags, all right, from idiots. You've committed genocide already on planet Earth. And I'm talking and speaking to you here right now because I'm ending this genocide. Because I know what you're doing to the old generation here, to the old people. You sick bastards, you sick psychopaths. I know you have no empathy because they're just a means to an end, isn't it? You don't give a fuck about the old people. Letting them die in the old people's home after they worked all their life and all they get at the end of their days is being treated like animals, completely without respect, without any consideration for how they feel, that their family is not even allowed to visit them, and that they're being forced a treatment that does not belong to this planet. That's your shit. You shoot up your fucking bloodstream. No one else's. Because you are nothing. You've always been nothing. You will always be nothing. That's why you have to hide. That's why everyone who starts to unravel your empire and finds out that the monetary system is controlled by private individuals and families. Oh, that's conspiracy theory. Oh, who are you? You're talking shit out of your butt, you're talking, because it's true. That's actually true. You can actually find out that that is so. That all the central banking systems, the entire central banking system is owned by private families. That is true. But you just want to get people off and just get them off that trail of thoughts in your little bullshit universities with little idiots, little boys as professors and doctors, little boys, little know-nothings, little nothings, little just want to go home and have my family be a Satanist that you are. All of them are Satanists because they only it's me, 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 me. Me, 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 and then take a break, and then it's me, me, me again. Yeah, this is your mindset, and Earth doesn't want this anymore, because I don't want this anymore. Me and the Earth are best buddies. It's your fucking worst nightmare, isn't it? Because you know that there's a power far greater than you, and it's Earth. And guess who's in alliance with that being? We have to get into our imagination that this is a takeover and that it's over. It's over now. 2022. You see that? It's how all the tides turned. I've been waiting a long time for this, and now it's here. Coming back to the point, so they point everyone, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You think the central banking system is controlled by private families and that they're so influential, yeah? Why do they do that? Why? Why do they keep repeating themselves like the robots that they are, the machine consciousness? Why? Because they're a bunch of losers and you have to hide, don't you? You always have to hide yourself. Because I know the field that controls you. I know Satan, who's your boss. And Wetiko, the equivalent of Satan, Wetiko is the field. It describes the field phenomena. And he's not the all-powerful dark overlord. You might believe that shit. I don't. He's nothing. He's a broken little child. That's what Satan is. Name it. Proclaim it. And then soof it. Slay it. Evil. Slayed. Right there. He's a spoiled, angry, broken little child. That's why all your mind control victims, okay, from your vampire empire has to go through the same kind of torture and MK Ultra programming. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Yeah. That's why you've all been abused as children. Now, that's not my problem, is it? That's the very virus in this world. Who the fuck are you, and what is this civilization? This force of invasion. It's trying to take over my planet, my home, without asking me. And when I get to the nuts and bolts of it, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Who the fuck are you? Retard. You're retards. You're a bunch of retards. Satan is a broken, insane little child that can't accept no and keeps bang on. Victim. That's why it's always victim. It's victim perpetrator. Dialectics. The paradigm that runs the matrix. Victim perpetrator bonding. John Lash was absolutely right in identifying that in his book. I always say credit where credit is due. I'm a big critic of John Lash. However, he was absolutely on the point there. Absolutely. In his book, not in his image. Victim perpetrator bonding. That's why your sick civilization of machine consciousness has to have MK Ultra mind control, programming, and torture of your children and the generation after, and it's gone on for quite some time, even long before MK Ultra in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and also during the Second World War. Remember Dr. Mengele? And also after the 70s and 80s and 90s, it just got promoted into the music industry, didn't it? And into the techno music scene, where you put your frequencies of distortion in there for people to get possessed by the demons, by the vampires that are in the background running the show of your empire. Isn't that right? As long as the roots of Wetiko is hidden, is it strong? If it is recognized, it dissolves. And when it is revealed, it perishes. And because I reveal it, you perish. You have to perish. You have to leave. Because we here on earth, we want peace. Because humanity is not like you. We're not a war species. We're not like you. Don't think in your dementia that everyone is like you. It's just how you see it in your little bubble, in your bullshit bubble. Not everyone's a liar. Not everyone's a cheater. Not everyone rapes beings just for fun because they get off on it. Because their master, Satan, the field of Wetiko, demands blood sacrifice, demands rape and torture. And that's why you do it. And you don't have a fail-safe mechanism to stop that urge. That's why they call it the demi-urge. And you sit there and you are sick, you know. You're fucking sick. It doesn't belong here on earth. Right? You're hitting a brick fucking wall in me. And if I'm the only one who has to tell you, then I will tell you. I need no one to back me up. While you have to control the mass media, the mainstream media of mindfuckery, and you have to control the alternative media on different levels of perception. The Bernard Günthers, the David Icke, the Max Egan, well, they're all nothing. You have to control all of that and use mass mind control, mass psychological mind control on the masses to keep your agenda going, while I can stand alone with the one and only truth and say I'm speaking the one and only truth, and that's all I need. And I am the wall that you hit all the time. That's power. while you need billions and it's not even enough. Believing your bullshit. While I sit here, telling you Earth transmissions, what the Earth wants you to know. She's in charge of Earth, and she's given me the authority to speak like this. Because I don't have a bond with your freak system, with your criminal system. I have a bond with Mother Ayahuasca and Datura and Earth. That's who I have a bond with. Not your freak system. That is not even a system. As I explained yesterday, the system is an insurance system. And you're not insured for the crimes that you're committing, therefore you're privately liable. Archon, Vampire Empire, every one of you, little dirt bags. Has power. So, what I wanted to talk about today, it's quite some introduction, wasn't it? What I wanted to talk about today is about this machine consciousness, the machine mind. And they have harvested many of humanity. Thankfully, not as many as they wanted. They are always bloodthirsty. But it was a full-blown attack, and that attack ends now. That's why you take a look at the title of the video again, just to remember what this video is all about, and that I'm certainly not blowing smoke up anyone's ass. I'm most certainly not doing this because I'm an influencer and I've got a YouTube channel. And I'm just going to do a video today because I feel like it. No, I have to do this. I'm tasked to do this. I'm authorized to do this by Earth, who is informed by the one and only highest source, the one and only truth, the one and only true source of all life force. Because I am that fail-safe mechanism that makes absolutely sure that the tide turns, and boy, has it been turning. You see, it takes time. It's a momentum when it shifts, you know. So it was sort of like in this direction, and now it's shifting and moving. And I'm here as a propulsion system, as a massive leverage to really hammer, like really put waves, really put wave power. Yeah, this is how this universe works. It works in waves, doesn't it? Waves of energy and information. And I'm here to put a lot of momentum. That's why I'm 4 times Aries. I can do it 4 times fire. Really get that going. And there's many, many levels to this war, World War III. And what I would like to talk about, I just said I wanted to talk about the microcosm of World War III and how it works. This force of invasion that is, this force of invasion that works primarily on infiltration. That's why they really don't want you to talk about controlled opposition, because controlled opposition means the control of the flow of information. And that's what I'm going to speak about. I just decided, again, you see, I switch I just wanted to talk about something else, but now I've switched again, so I am going to talk about it. You see, it's unpredictable. How how can this force of invasion and infiltration, the Archon vampire empire, have any control over what I'm doing when I don't even have control over what I'm doing? I don't even know what I'm going to talk next. So I'm going to talk about the Archon vampire empire and its hierarchical structure and main modus operandi. Okay, this pyramid structure is very important, as you have gathered, and especially this pyramid structure, the downward pyramid. Beautiful. And it's a force of invasion that works through infiltration of everything, all sectors. Whatever you see in our reality, whether that is economics, whether that is law, whether that is medicine, whether that is history, the Department of History, whether that is all of the sectors of society, no matter what you look at, everything has been completely infiltrated. That's what they focus on. This goes so far that as above, so below, as within, so without, as in the grand big picture, so in your everyday life. So whenever or wherever you may meet with groups of people, okay, to plan your study group or to come together and plan your children's group because you want to do alternative schooling. You don't want to put your children in school anymore, obviously, because they're mind control indoctrination centers. I studied to become a teacher, so I know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm not at school, because I don't mind control people. Wherever you are, when you're meeting with a group of people, and it's only a small group, 10 people maybe, and you want to create this alternative movement, or you want to create a garden project, for example, and you want to have your own garden because you want the new earth is going to be important, that we grow our own vegetables, or what else, or you want to set up a community center. You want to create your own community, especially community. Listen to Liz and Liz's information. She's got a thing or two to say about that. Whatever it is, this is the point, okay? Whatever small community and group that you're forming and you're meeting regularly, what are you going to have there? Do you think there's only humans here on this planet? Do you think there's only humans that you're interacting with? Or have you watched the B movie of the late 80s from John Carpenter called They Live? Or was it Stanley Kubrick? No, it's not John Carpenter, it's Stanley Kubrick. Excuse me. Pardon, I make mistakes too. However, I learn from them, which is the difference between me and the Satanist. I can make mistakes, I learn from them. They make mistakes, and they just continue on anyway, because they're too demented. So when you watch They Live, this is what's going on. The glasses that he puts on in the movie, if you've not watched it, watch it. Then you'll know the world better. And think again, if you really think that everyone who's walking here on Earth who looks human is human. That's called naivete. You're naive. And that was the word that I was hacked to not say yesterday when I was like, oh, what's the word again? It's called naive. That's been one of the biggest problems, one of the main problems of humanity is naivete. We've been played for too long. We let ourselves get played for too long. Too nice. Too nice. That's why I'm not nice anymore. I was nice and I failed because of that. I had to learn it the hard way. I had to learn. I had to realize I was wrong to be nice. Very wrong. I was very wrong in wanting to be peaceful and keep the peace. I was wrong. I was so wrong as wrong can be. I realized I had to piss everyone off to get what I really want, which is peace. To get to real, lasting, long-term peace, I had to dig deep and piss everyone off. Just go for it. And keep saying, get as offended as you like. Go on. Create a circus around it. Then you know how the demiurge feels. He gets pissed off and creates a whole circus of clowns. And then wants you to have that circus of clowns around you. And I sent those circus of clowns right back to the master clown, Satan. You're a clown. Get as offended as you like. It's a beautiful medicine. I got this from Mark Passio. Credit where credit is due. It's a great saying. Get as offended as you like. It ain't changing the truth. And if you've got a problem with how I do things, then create your own channel. I'm going to be the very last man who's going to stop you from doing that. The very last. Believe me. Unless you're a controlled opposition and you're manipulating people, I'm going to slay you publicly. That's what I'm going to do to Bernhard Günther. Are you listening, Bernhard? Veil of reality with your little witch? Oh, come and attack me. Try it. I know about ice cold water and high commands, and that slays you, and the attack goes right back to you. That burns you. Black magician. Controlled opposition. Veil of reality. I listen to a lot, all right? And you're bewitching people, telling people actually they shouldn't take plant medicine in this time. They have to stay all sober. Yeah, because the plant medicine fucks you over, doesn't it, you black magician? So coming back to the main point, and I like to sometimes mix things up. I don't know what's going to happen next. Okay, coming back to the main point of they live and machine consciousness of this invading force. Another great movie, because they show it all in the movies, and then they mock us by saying, oh, we showed everything in the movies. You didn't see it, did you? The clown circus starts again. Oh, but there's someone who did watch them and did take notice and can combine all of what is shown in the movies to factual information and have proof of claim what I'm saying, that I have to everything that I say. I have proof. I just don't show it because I'm too busy doing more and more videos. Because we're not answering any questions here at Planetary Intelligence Agency. We have our work cut out all the time. Nope, no one is gonna speak here. Someone tried to speak, not allowed. I'm speaking. That's also another main point of Planetary Intelligence Agency of Earth. When we speak, we speak. No one interrupts. How about that? I don't interrupt people when they speak. It's called respect. We don't answer questions. We're the ones asking the fucking questions. Because I think we've got a planet here. We've got a problem here. In our home, there's a problem. It's called you. The Archon vampire empire that hides in the shadows and tells everyone, oh, he's talking about vampires. Yeah. Why do you think there's so many wars? Bloodshed. Why do you think blood is such a big business? Yeah, I know here in Austria, they can't get enough of giving blood, going into the hospital and taking blood from you. And then you get 20 euros and, yeah, vampires. Have you watched Blade? That's what it is. You've got vampires running this place. Fucking vampires. They hide in the shadows. Why? Because they know when they're exposed to someone like me, they get slayed the shit out of. Because unlike many other people in controlled opposition, Max Egan, David Icke, Mark Passio, Bernard Günther, and all the rest of them, my basis of argumentation does not come from, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, oh, they're such an overarching big empire and black magic, and they're doing this, and they're Satanists, and oh my God, the next they're gonna do this, and they plan this, and it's that, and like, their main basis of argumentation is full allegiance, when you can see it, full allegiance to the dark force, okay, to the dark occultists, to the Satanists, by giving them all of the credit, like David Icke on London Real. Oh, and then China social crediting system they want to install, and they did this, they did that, and the next thing they're going to do this, and the next thing they're going to do that. He bamboozles everyone for 3 hours about the horror show that they want to create called 1984. Okay, the dystopian technocracy that they want to impose. China gone global through the 5G network and the smart grid, universal basic income, social crediting system score that probably they have in their shithole, whatever, wherever they came from, whatever planet they're on, this machine consciousness, these Archons. He bamboozles everyone for 3 hours, and then, well, now we're all really fucked up and depressed, David, for telling us how there's nothing we can do, and how overpowerful this dark force seems. We can't do anything. Oh my God, I'm so little. But now, after 3 hours of fucking everyone's brain up, now you talk about solution, and oh, it's all in the heart, and I mean, how anyone can't see it. When they even can't see, when I point it out, that's full-blown denial, and you're lying to yourself. So that's what he does there. My basis of argumentation comes from, I know that this pyramidical vampire empire has at the head of the pyramid the high priest of Satanism that gets the orders directly from the demiurge, from Satan. Satan is not a manifested entity. It can project itself and look like the dark overlord, can look like a clown. He's a clown. But what it really is, when everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, is a field of Wetiko. That's what the demiurge is. So I don't talk about from the basis, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. I know all of that, what they're trying to do. I know that from the 1st of March, the World Health Organization wants to have total lockdown of world governance, all right, where they dictate to every country directly what they should do in case of another simulated pandemic. I know all of that. I know about technocracy. I know about 5G, smart grid, AI, all of it. I don't waste my time hanging around in the details and making everyone depressed. That's already what David Icke is doing, and all the rest of these losers. Okay, that's what they are. And I will tell them right in their faces. I don't care how many books they've written. I don't care how many years they've, quote unquote, done a good job. I'll tell them right in their faces, because you could be literally insane for 30 years, write many books, have a lot of good things in there, and still be insane. You're losers, guys. You are losers, and I'm going to expose all of you. You're going to have to come clean. If I were Max Egan, and I would have ignored someone like me, or someone like Errol, or anyone who's talking about taking down a pedo-satanic criminal network, and taking over a country, ending genocide, and I always looked for the next excuse that I can find not to interview them, I'll be the first one to go on the air and say, guys, I really fucked up. You know what an idiot I was? I'd be the first one. But you see, they have no morals. They have no reflection or anything. It's just me, 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 me. My basis of argumentation comes from knowing the enemy. I can tell you how it's structured, how it works, who it is, why it is. I can answer all the questions. And when I get to it, only when I get to it. If someone asks me, I tell them, we don't answer questions. We're the ones asking the fucking questions. No one questions us. We're not the ones who are creating the problem because we're moral. The problem doesn't originate with us. We're dealing with our shadows. Then the Satanists comes and they're like, oh, but you still have to do shadow work. Fuck you. I do my shadow work when I want to. And I know better when I have to do my shadow work than you. We know the enemy, and therefore we know the self, which is not only the solution to the problem that we have, but the resolution. That's on a higher plane. Solution and resolution. That's a whole different level of consciousness. That's what they can't handle. That's what trips them out. So that's the downward pyramid to that upward pyramid. It's called the Merkaba. So my basis of argumentation is I pull the strings of Satan. I pull the strings of Wetiko. I control this reality. And that is the truth, because anyone who's not initiated, anyone hearing this who shouldn't be hearing this, because they're not on the level of intelligence as I am, it is the truth, because they would think I've completely lost it and I should be in a mental institution. When the only one who decides if I don't feel right and I should go in a mental institution is, guess with who decides what I'm going to do next. It's obviously me. It's called sovereignty. And I choose my words very carefully. And I think about things before I say them. I can say, I control Wetiko. I control Satan. I know who he is. I know why he exists. The involutionary force serves as a learning lesson to consciousness to grow out of involution for evolution. That's what he's here for. He's there for us to serve as a learning lesson, because Satan is a broken child. A sad child. So sad you can't even imagine, and you can never show that sadness because he has no emotions. That's you. All that Archon vampire empire. You are without empathy. You're psychopaths. You have no emotions. Therefore, you can't cry. That's why you go so mad. You're mad. You're actually mad. You are psychologically mad. Everyone who susses you out and takes over from you and tells your empire to fuck off, you would frame as clinically insane and mad, because that's all you can do. All you can do is invert of what you are. You are mad. And that's what happens sometimes. I then lose the trail of thought, what I've just been on. It takes a little time because there's many hacks going on, because they don't want me talking like this. You won't hear this kind of information from anywhere. I'm coming from a position of victory. A Gnostic is someone who can see before it is seen. A Gnostic is someone who decodes from the unseen levels of reality before they are seen. And then they're called prophets or visionaries. And people go and watch them in a few months' time when we've taken over. People watch my old videos and see, oh, he already said that he was taking the planet back in May 2020. And he's done it. Yes. So that's what I do. I don't just talk. I do. I do what's necessary, what has to be done. Gnostic is someone who decodes the unseen levels of reality and then brings it into manifestation. That's why I can say we're getting Errol out. And then when we get him out, oh, he's a visionary, he's a prophet, he's all this. No, it's seeing beyond the seen. Humanity is mind controlled to just believe in what is seen. And that's the Matrix trap right there, only to believe what we can see and forget about what we feel. What we feel, which is what the enemy can't, what we feel is more reality than what we can see. What we feel is much more reality than that which we can see. And this is such a big subject, and I just come from one to the next. But now I feel like what we feel is more reality than what we can see. Now I have to speak about something else also. The war. Coming back to the war in the Ukraine right now. Why is it in the Ukraine? That's also an interesting question. Why? It just so happens that the Ukraine, when you go back into history, was the center of what empire? I know many here listening on Telegram will know this. Starts with the K. The Khazarian Empire. Isn't that interesting? The Khazarians and Tatarians. Okay, two. The Tatarian Empire, or the Tatars, are the remnants of a worldwide civilization that existed before this force of invasion started to colonize Earth. Colonize one country after the other, one continent after the other. And they came a whole lot closer with the institutionalization of a de facto world government that we've already had. Since 1945, it's called the United Nations. Installed directly under the orders of the Vatican to have the United Nations. Headquarters in New York. And it's no accident that there's only, I think, 5 other centers of the United Nations, either 5 or maximum 6. I think it's 5. Across the world. And one of those centers was where I lived 5-minute walk away from, the Vienna International Center. In Kaisermühlen, Vienna, Austria. No accident. Yeah, because I'm taking them down. Planetary Intelligence Agency taking down the United Nations. And it's all one criminal mafia anyway, working together. They might compete with each other because they're a competing consciousness themselves. They compete with each other. They want to be like, yeah, this and that and that. But they have the same goal, okay? They have the same goal. It's one big criminal mafia. The United Nations, together with Mossad, with the intelligence agencies, and all the rest of the corporations that they control. Yeah, they control all of the corporations. And let me see where I want to take this now. Where do I want to take this? Okay, let's go into the modus operandi, shall we? I don't know for how long I've been on now. When I started, I think, yeah, it's about this 1 hour, 20 minutes or so should be on now. So, 1 hour, 10 minutes, good. So, this force, let's talk about the modus operandi of this force. Okay? This is the way the mafia works, all right? How the mafia really works. And I mean, the mafia is what at the heart is not only, okay, not everyone who's in the network is into pedophilia and Satanism. Not everyone. Ideological Satanism they're into, otherwise they wouldn't be part of the network. Yeah. Ideological Satanism, like most of humanity, that is intermingled with machine people, okay, machine consciousness, who are not human. Look human, are not human. %95%. No, let's say 90% are ideological Satanists, okay? Because they are into the 4 tenets of Satanism. That is, if I can remember, but I've already talked about the first tenet of Satanism. Okay, and this is all ideology. This, when people tick like this, they are ideological Satanists. And the whole of society is structured like that. The first is a me mindset. Self-preservation is the highest order. It's only about them. It's only about themselves and about their family, and they don't give a damn about anything else. I've just explained. That's why you know I'm talking about. It's a very it's a low number, actually. I've just explained most people. They only care about themselves and their family. Everything else they don't really care. Even the people who say they care about, they wouldn't take the risks and take on courage to risk for their human family, that it really changes. So the me attitude is the number one. The second tenet of Satanism, ideological Satanism, is moral relativism. Oh boy, do we have a problem there. People believing that they can decide what is right and what is wrong. Well, I can make up that it's right for me that I eat pork because I really, really like pork. I find it's right because I say so. No bullshit. No. No one throughout the multiverses can decide what is right and what is wrong because that is already decided. It's outside of anyone's influence. No matter what anyone thinks of it, and no matter what, if they say, oh, but that's really unfair, well then, hard luck, get on with it. It is what it is. And I had to learn that the hard way. I was an ideological Satanist too. Up to a few months ago, I was still not in the right mindset. I was still eating meat, trying and thinking I can get away with it. So I'm talking from experience directly. Eating meat is an addiction. So therefore, I've been off it since November. Very proud of that. And that's why I'm feeling much better, much clearer. And that's why I can do the work. Third tenet of ideological Satanism is social Darwinism. Darwinism, we know what it is. The whole economic system is based on Darwinism. All right. What is often described as the survival of the fittest. It's basically to constantly be in competition with each other. That's what it basically is. It describes the hierarchy, the pyramidical structure of this Archon vampire empire. You ever asked yourself why every institution on the planet, every little small shop has a hierarchical structure to it, pyramidical structure? It's because it's the structure of the matrix, and it's replicated infinitely throughout the world system of the matrix. and everyone's in competition with each other, and you want to get up that ladder, don't you? In that system. Obviously not the people listening here. I'm talking with the criminals, all right? You want to go up that ladder, don't you? You want to be higher up. You want to be the boss one day, don't you? Yeah, get a better paycheck that you can get that BMW, the newest version, or have a new house because you've only got 3 houses. You are so lost that you're not even happy with the 3 houses that you have. That's how lost you are. You think you're master psychologists? You know, I'm a grandmaster psychologist. You're not even at home and happy with 3 houses. We're not the ones with a fucking problem. You're the one with a fucking problem. And now you're being found out for your criminal behavior also. It's not allowed on Earth anymore, okay? If you don't like it, piss the fuck off. Or rather, commit fucking suicide before you see me, before the light of the truth really shines through everything, all right? Go ahead and do it. It not gonna be easy, all right? If you wanna dodge that, that's your choice. Who am I? I'm just telling you that it's gonna be hard. Because you thought you were all so clever and you can get away with it. No, you're not. Intelligence trumps cleverness. It's nothing. You're nothing. The boss is nothing. And the boss is out. You've got a new boss now. Yeah. Social Darwinism, the third. And the fourth tenet of Satanism is where the previous 3 tenets of Satanism always lead to the fourth. And that is eugenics. Or as Mark Passio points out, another word, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say, because it's historically has been used to describe the situation that we're in and what these psychopaths of the cult, the pedo-satanic criminal network cult are up to, which is eugenics. Okay? Oh, we're the master race. We're the masters and we're above everyone. This is not just Judaism who thinks that. Okay, and especially Zionists, all right, who are in an ideological mindfuckery that we're the chosen ones and this and that. All I say is I'm chosen by Earth to be the diplomat of the Earth. You see, there's the difference. I don't believe I'm the chosen one and everyone should do what I tell them. No, I'm just an antenna, a conduit for Earth to have finally someone speak without distracting, talking nonsense. Speak what the enemy really hates hearing because she doesn't want them here anymore. She doesn't want them. She didn't want them for a very long time, but finally we're catching up to what she wants us to know. So those 4 tenets are really important. And the eugenics is all about master race and we're the yeah, because they're a different species running amongst us on our planet. And I'm going to speak about that now. I don't care what anyone thinks. I know this to be true. I know this to be a fact. And they showed it in the movie They Live. They showed it in the movie Avatar. And that's even more appropriate. The glasses in They Live actually symbolize there are actual representation and a symbol. So they put on the glasses and then they can see that actually not everyone's human. And he starts to see that there's basically machine consciousness and running amongst us with human bodysuits that are not human. And he sees, he sees beyond the appearance. This is what I do. Yeah. Because I feel that, that feeling with people. And this is what I want to I want to put this to the community. Okay, this is front and center. They don't want us talking about it, so we better talk about it. I want to talk about this in the community, because I only have my consciousness. I'm tuning in to the wood wide web, the planetary internet web, that the Matrix, the Wetiko 5G AI Matrix, wishes to block, but hasn't got the power to block that. I'm speaking directly from the planetary internet of information download that you can have access to, anyone can have access to. I want to talk to this about the community, specifically write it down. I want to speak about this, okay? Have you often had the feeling that something's not right with people when you were speaking to them, or generally when you were reflecting and you were considering the idea that they're not human? You're right. And that was shown in the movie Avatar, when what was shown as the American military put him, a military soldier, into a suit in an avatar of the natural civilization. I don't know the name anymore. The natural civilization of this movie, that we're living in harmony with nature. And this shows, yes, infiltration. And I speak from direct experience. I've just come off, written this publicly in a forum, okay, here in Austria. I've made this public a lot. I was surrounded when I was speaking in Linz, okay, the city of Linz, on the main square in Linz. I was speaking for a whole year on a stage where people would come up to me and tell me quite often, you know, we could hear you from 0.5 kilometer away. That's how loud I was. This is the way of how you end up at the high priest of Satanism's house, to take him down and tell him to fuck off because the gay show is over. Earth doesn't want it anymore. This is how you do it, all right? And I was like, it was me. I really used to like to go there, speak and connect with the people there. However, the manipulation runs so deep that for a long time you don't even realize that actually you're not dealing with humans. It's the network. Members, initiates into the orders of Freemasonry, Jesuits, even Illuminati when they're not. I'm the fucking Illuminati, all right? I'm the Illuminati speaking to you. No such thing as an order of the Illuminati, because you're a low-level initiate, all of you. They were surrounding me, and the organizer of this demonstration, Florian, he's in prison now. He has been in prison for over a month now. He's got 3 children and a wife. And they locked him up because this is what they always do. They set them up as useful idiots. So unfortunately, what I have to say about Florian, I really liked Florian, but he would never listen, which unfortunately was his downfall. He would never listen to people who wanted to talk to him and tell him, Florian, there's a problem with this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and all these people. That you see it. Didn't want to see it. He's locked up now for more than a month. Locked him up because they always use useful idiots, and then at the end, that's why every movement never goes to anything. That's why I already knew before that the truckers movement is not gonna have a long-term effect at all. In actual fact, it will have the opposite effect, and we see that now in Canada. That's why I do think about things when I say them. I have a track record. To have long-term thinking, long-term stratagem, otherwise the situation gets worse. And someone has to take the blame, the responsibility for the disaster, for the Satanists, the disaster that happened in Linz, because they had me speaking there every week. Florian was amazing, having me speak there every week, even though he was under pressure not to have me speak. But he said no. He was instructed by the source to let it happen. Massive pressure for him not to have me speak. I kept speaking. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing this for the freedom of Florian and for the freedom of everyone. Because they locked him up, and someone has to take the blame for what happened in Lindsay after a whole year. And they never use anyone from their ranks. These sick, twisted individuals, machine consciousness. So it was Florian, who played too much with the police and took the piss out of them, which I don't do. Wherever I go and I interact with the police or with government institutions, I show respect. I don't show any respect to Satanists. No. But in official situations, when I'm seeing a policeman who doesn't know me, I don't know him, what reason do I have when my knowledge far supersedes anything he's ever read, anything he's ever considered? Philosophical questions that I have answers for that he doesn't even know exist as a question. Why would I taunt someone like that? I would have to have a minority complex and a problem with my own shadow, with my own self. If I wanted to put someone down from the police, why would I do that? Because the police, although they're acting immoral, implementing these criminal orders, in the situation, I'm still acting with respect and see them as those of mankind who at times act as policemen. If they're not machine consciousness anyway. I don't know. However, just to say, that whole movement there was totally infiltrated. And I know the names, and I've already said them also publicly in the forum on Telegram there. What are they going to do? Nothing. And they do this infiltration everywhere, as I said. You've got a local group where you meet up and you have a garden club or whatever you have. You most probably are infiltrated. If you've managed to have no infiltration, then you're very high level, because it's energetic. It's energetically that they need to infiltrate. They do it naturally. So therefore, there's many of this machine consciousness here on Earth and don't belong here. And they act as a hive mind. And they infiltrate throughout society, in all sectors of society, everywhere. And especially in the controlled opposition and the truth and freedom movement. That's where the information warfare is really going on. That's why you're not seeing the Gnostic takeover anywhere across the alternative media, you know? How is it that we can speak with such clarity of vision, conviction, huh? How about that? I'm convicted. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm so sure about what I'm doing and who I am, and that we're taking them down and taking over, taking the planet back to who it belongs, namely humanity, who have the very first say in all of this. Not you, machine consciousness, vampire, empire, archons. You actually have no say in this, because you're not native here. You're invading, and this invasion is stopped as I'm speaking right now, and has been stopped for quite some time now, because we've really gotten on top of you over the last few months. And I know what a disaster for you that was, that me and Errol got together. Oh, what a disaster. What a true perfect example how two individuals coming together are the equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb on someone's head. And not the masses, the mind control prison that most of the alternative media are subjected to, that we still need to wake more people up. No, two individuals who founded the Gnostic takeover happened to end up at the house of the high priest of Satanism and took down the high priest of Satanism. And now I'm actually decoding that I myself am pulling the strings of Wetiko. I'm pulling the strings of Satan. Because Satan and the agents of Satan, this machine consciousness, were only employed by my greater being, my heart, soul, essence, to have this experience to begin with in this reality. My greater being, the greater aspect, the essence of my being, employed them for me to make the chess moves that are made. And once the job is done, they have to leave. That's a very, very high vision. I know that is true, although it's horrific to think that how my essence or your essence, I can only speak for myself, how we could do that to ourselves. Because what a pain in the ass they are. And I'll only know that as truth once this is all over. So then I'll finally get to have a rest, a holiday. Imagine that, a holiday. And as I said, they're especially in the warfare is going on in the alternative media, and so many people listening to all of the David Ickes and Max Egans and all of them, they are totally being misled. Totally. They want the new earth, they want the new signal, but they don't know they're listening to the enemy. They don't know they're listening to machine consciousness, pretending to want the same thing like you, but you can't look into their eyes. You can't look at the world from their eyes. You don't really know them. You've never seen them. You think you know them, but you don't. I'm here to remind you that in actual fact you don't, and trust is built with time. And what they do, okay, and there's different levels to this. There's even YouTube channels. So what they do is, okay, I've talked a lot about controlled opposition in the alternative media, but let me find this. Yeah, how the infiltration works, really. Okay, the infiltration of the mafia of this. Well, at the heart is a pedo-satanic criminal network that I keep talking about. The basis of this infiltration is the successful manipulation of cultural norms. This is how they do it, ladies and gentlemen. Make no bones about it. This is the foundation of their invasion. I've got access to the blueprint of how they do it. Oh, so let's pretend that's not true. The manipulation of cultural norms. And now think about the new normal that they were programming into people, and hasn't it become true? Don't you see all of the people, machine consciousness and humans who've been taken, who've been harvested, who have been recruited and assimilated into this machine, into this AI machine consciousness, who act like them now? They're not human anymore if they were human before. They've been taken. However, there's all possibility, okay, that once we stop the invasion for real, okay, and the Gnostic takeover goes out into the open and you see us on the fucking news. Television, mainstream television I'm speaking about. because I'm ready to do whatever it takes. This is not about me. This is not about, I'm going to be on television. I'm going to tell mommy I've been on television. I don't want to be on television. I want a holiday. However, when it takes that I, as someone who can speak for the most vulnerable people who are being transgressed their boundaries every single day, and they have no one to speak for them, if it's me that has to do it, I will do it, and I will pull the trigger. I don't care. And I will say, when you see me on the streets, leave me alone unless you are a human being. If you transgress on my boundary, I'm going to tell you right away, leave me alone. I only did my job. I have to do my job. The consequences of me not doing my job are horrendous. That's why I take my work very serious. The mafia, what the mafia really is, okay, mafia, as you learn in the book, Government of the Shadows, Parapolitics and Criminal Sovereignty by Eric Wilson, who specializes, he's a university professor at the university in Melbourne, I think, for international law, and also does natural law. Very interesting guy. A fascinating book. Especially the article that he wrote, Eric Wilson. It is mind-blowing. It's pretty amazing. Full credit to Eric Wilson as a university. They're not all, as I said before, full of themselves. There's great people doing great work also in these institutions, real humans. Okay, sorry if that came different before. I'm happy to change that. Sometimes I can be a bit strong because I have to be strong right now. Has to be. That's the times we're in right now. But there's great people also working in the institutions and in universities. And that book is an amazing book. Government of the Shadows, Parapolitics and Criminal Sovereignty. And he explains that the mafia is not an institution. It is not an institution above the institutions, okay? This pyramidical structure. Mafia is not an institution. It is a method. Mafia is not an institution or a network of institutions. Mafia is a network. Is a method. Mafia is a method. And the method is to install a norm that suits the force of infiltration, that supports the agenda of invading Earth. It has to be compatible with a norm, that the societal norm supports the invasion. Mafia is not an institution. I'll say it again. Mafia is not an institution. It is a method. And it is the successful manipulation of cultural norms. And therefore, they talk about a new normal. So what is the norm? What do you hear from people all the time? Yeah, what can I do? What can you do? It's normal for society that politicians are criminals. That's been accepted as normal. So we just have to get on with it, that we're being run by criminals, because if that's normal, that criminals run the world, then it's going to continue to be like that. The resolution of that is to take down these criminals. And when no one is doing it, then with very high percentage of probability, it's going to have to be you that's doing it. That's what happens with me anyway. Nowhere on the airwaves did I hear, we're taking down the criminals and taking the planet back. So it had to be me. So, and why is that miracle possible? What I call magic. What we're going to do tomorrow that Errol comes out. Magic. Why is that possible? You know why? The only reason why we're taking them down, the only reason why we're taking over and taking back the planet, the only reason why that is possible is because it's never been done before. That's exactly the reason why it's going to work. It's one of the most important things one learns from the first Matrix movie. Neo, no one has ever done this before. Yes, that's why it's gonna work. That's exactly why. That's why the biggest problem that we have are templates. Oh, can I have a template for your notice of liability? Oh, can I do? No, you're not. Templates are the problem. You need to realize that you're a sovereign being, sovereign individual. There's no problem, Of course, when I write a notice of liability, I would like to read other notices before. That's what helps, of course, as an inspiration. Yeah, that is necessary for learning and to learn how to write notices. I also needed that. However, no template. No, okay, that's how you write a notice and I'll just change vaccine to geoengineering and I'll hold them liable. And it doesn't work like that. You write it in your heart, soul, essence. That's why my notice was the bullseye for a man who at times acts as director of the lunatic asylum. That's why it was the bullseye, because I wrote it with my heart, how I saw it, exactly how I saw it. And then the natural order shows if what you write and the energy, how you send it, is in line and in alignment with the law, the absolute law. That's what it decides them. And the manipulation of cultural norms has happened on all levels, all right? Like television. That's why television. They tell you a lie, and that's how they've manipulated cultural norms. The way most people behave in their relationship with their boyfriend or their girlfriend is what they learned on the TV series called Friends. Or How I Met Your Mother. That's why people binge watch Netflix, to know what they can do in their lives. Because they haven't got the first fucking clue what to do with their own lives. That's why people watch Netflix and binge watch it. You know how many times I've watched Netflix? I can count it on one hand, the amount of times I watched Netflix. That's why I've got ideas, the most powerful thing in the universe. The most powerful thing is an idea. Why don't you die? He asks in V for Vendetta. Because freedom is more than just a concept. Freedom is an idea, Mr. Creedy. And ideas are bulletproof. Yes, I listened to these movies. I listened and I took them in deeply. No one gets hold of my ideas. It was my idea that I got with inspiration of Cal Washington and Josh Del Sol in their movie Take Back Your Power, where I first heard about liability and how to take down liars with their lying ability. Yeah. It's my idea that will take them down. And it is taking them down. Beautiful the way it is manifesting. Manipulation of cultural norms through the series people watch and the Netflix. Be aware why you do things like you do them. How do you know if they were your original idea or not? Yeah, ask yourself the question if you still like doing those things, or if you're still into the same partners as you were before, or why are we the way we are? Think about how much were we imposed upon and manipulated to not be ourselves. The biggest secret we can ever find out is who we are, who we truly are. Most people are most afraid of. So they take what they think is the easy way out. But it's not. It's torture, and it's a very dark path to take. And manipulation of cultural norms. There's all these, what I like to watch sometimes. I've just been shown like these food videos, that Chinese street food, and you've got the Food Ranger, for example, or people like Mark Vians. All right, if anyone has found them before, I tend to sometimes like to watch the food stores, just seeing how different cultures, the kind of foods that they eat, and just sometimes I like to relax and let go and just take a look at that. And oh my goodness, you can't not pick up that the most of the time they're eating pork, they're eating meat most of the time, and it's like presented as a normal thing, and you see all these dead animals everywhere. And I can see what's happening here. They've got followers of like 10 million, right? 10 million, 5 million, 10 million, and all these other influencers and all that. And I have a strong feeling they're machine consciousness. I don't get the feeling that they're actually very different to humans. And there, again, another example, there you have the cultural manipulation of, it's totally normal to eat food like that. And this is how you eat the food, and you just stuff your face with pork, and it's like, yeah, it's disgusting. And this has crept in throughout all of society, throughout all the cultures. That's why they call it a cult, because it comes from culture. Yeah. That's what has led us. This cult mentality, this normality that is insanity. I was the only one in the tube in Vienna, in the U-Bahn. The only one always without a smartphone. Sitting there, waiting if I can finally meet human beings. No human around here anywhere. They were all... You recognize that? It's about fucking time we did something. This has been going on for too long. I remember I'm talking 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, always having to look at that. And then it kicked off in 2020. Now I'm like, yeah, good. Let's fuck them up. I've had enough. I had to watch all of this for many, many years. Everyone not fucking with their partners and having love, in the form of sex. No, they're fucking their smartphone before they fuck anyone else. How sick! How sick you made humanity. That's why I say I know everything about your crime. The smartphone, the biggest fucking problem we have on the fucking world. Smartphones. They're bullshit. They are the enemy. They are Satan. It's not this dark overlord. No, Satan is your smartphone. That's who you work for. All of you in the cult, you work for the smartphone. Because the smart grid reality and 5G will all be in the smartphone. And that's where you're going to be. in the little smartphone. That's the only thing you can be God of, your stupid smartphone. Pathetic. Nonsense. We have access to technology that far outweigh your technology of the smartphone, stupid, pathetic bullcrap. No one is interested in that technology. I'm talking teleportation. I'm talking time travel, dimension travel, at any time. Ours as the technology. From the inside out, not the outside in, because that is AI, is from the outside in. AI. Fuck AI. Bullshit. Nonsense. Nothing. How about that for an example of manipulation of cultural norms? That's warfare. The biggest warfare on this planet is hidden. Not everyone can see it unless they wear the glasses of perception. A perception outside of the matrix bubble. It's called the natural reality. Where you know the biggest problem we have is the smartphone and smartphone people who don't make love to other human beings. They get off on their smartphone. How sick they made society. Perfect example, okay? That's it. The cultural manipulation of norms. It's totally normal to have a smartphone. And then the idiots buy smartphones for their children. That when you look into the research, the effects of the smartphone on a child is horrific. You have no idea. The things I looked into to children, it's harmful for human beings, but when the head is still growing and you see the mothers giving their little 2-year-old children the smartphone to play, and then that's why I say we're dealing with very sick beings and these entities. So this is a massive special, this episode. We're nearly up to 2 hours. That's how long it takes. That's the incredible length that I'm explaining. And they infiltrate on all levels, especially in the esoterics of the alternative media, okay, and alternative ways of information. So you don't buy into the mainstream, all right? That is for the masses of the people who fall into the hypnosis trap. But you know, as an invading force, that people will drop out of that state of hypnosis on that frequency level. But you're not going to tell people that the matrix is that spectrum, so that people think that, oh, that's the mainstream. Oh, I watch alternative media, and I know I'm awake. Are you awake too? Oh yeah, I read David Icke books also, and I've read that book about Qigong, and I've got a new class in this and that, and I'm really awake. Yeah, no, you're only outside of that spectrum. The matrix is that spectrum. So up here, there, you've got the Max Egans waiting for you, waiting to catch you. Please give me your attention. I've got videos coming every 3-4 days to give you an update. Please give me your attention. And then I'll take your consciousness, and like my masters tell me, machine consciousness, the Archon vampire empire, I'll take your perception and recycle it back into the matrix, into the machine, without you knowing it, because that's the only way it works if you don't know it. So then you may come across the Gnostic takeover, and you see Steve and Errol shout out loud because they're natural beings, connected with their emotions, absolutely authentic, natural, children of the earth in grown human bodies, innocent as can be, would never, ever, ever, ever do harm to another human being. but would defend to death their own lives if they were threatened. If they were attacked, I will defend to the death, because that I have every right to do that according to the natural order, because I know how it works. The masculine and the feminine principle. Feminine principle of never would do any harm to another being. And the masculine kicks in when my boundaries are transgressed and I fuck you up. And so Max Egan, then, but there's above levels to Max Egan. So now we're talking about the David Icks. Please get your attention to me. All right. I've been doing this for 30 years and I've built up a long narrative. Okay. Where I've shown people that I go against the system. Okay. You're not questioning me. I'm obviously not. I'm going against the system. That's why I keep repeating that the BBC kicked me out. And I was the nutter and I couldn't even go into a pub, I couldn't walk down any street without people laughing. I have to keep repeating that just so you don't question me. David Icke, a master hypnotist of perception. So he tells you all about perceptions, that the basis of the manipulation and the control system is the manipulation of perception. Yes, David, thank you. You're absolutely right. And you give absolute truth with that information. But then take the consciousness and put it into the recycling machine of the matrix. Because you do not talk about the takeover. And when the takeover, the Gnostic takeover, gets in contact with you, you don't want to talk with them because they've sussed your bullshit. They can see that David has changed gears. Have you heard anyone talk about this? That since 2020, David's agenda has changed. It's not the David Icke who he was before. Because with the Covidian cult kicking in, now he needs to program the people he's already caught in the net, okay? The consciousness that he's drawn into his net. Now he needs to brainwash and program them to only stay on the Covidian cult's agenda and program them that technocracy is lurking and technocracy is going to come in. And you're still telling them that, oh, the heart is the solution. However, you never ever tell anyone how to live from the heart. How you access your heart, soul, essence, how you connect to your higher self, to your greater being, and get planetary intelligence running through you, holistic intelligence that connects both hemispheres of the brain for holistic intelligence. You don't want to talk about how to pick up the signals from the Schumann resonance, the planetary natural internet, where people then get their decodings from, because Earth is an anagram of heart. It goes so far that throughout the 4.5 hours of interview of London Real that you just did, you don't even mention the word Earth. You never talk about Earth because this is the terrain. This is the field of gnosis. This is Gnosticism in action that takes you out of the matrix. You tell people, fuck Plato's cave. We're getting out of the cave. You've been looking at shadow projections of the wall. And it's a master hypnotherapist who was trained by MI5, MI6, the intelligence agencies, whose name is David Icke. Everyone get as offended as they like, because I know it is the truth. And outside of David's realm, you've sneaked out of David and the Alex Jones deception, and they are connected with each other, the Alex Jones empire. Yeah, you think they're on your side? You think they talk about the planet and gnosis? perceptions outside of the bubble of the Matrix? Oh, no, they would never do that. Not Alex Jones and also not David Icke. No, better not talk about true gnosis, true Gnosticism. No, feed them the bullshit. Feed them the news matrix. They're doing this, they're doing that, and now have been proven right, and then we call the London Real interview the vindication. Vindication for what, David? Vindication that you program people for their own genocide. The ones who have escaped the mainstream, and you recycle their consciousness back into the traps or the feedback loop of the matrix and continue the genocide and also harvest their souls. Is that more accurate to what you're doing than what you claim to be doing? Because I can see through what appears to be someone against the system when you're not. You are the system, lock, stock, and barrel. Even more than the mainstream media, you are the system, because at least the mainstream media is overtly stupid and demented and insidious and evil, overt evil, whereas covert evil is far more dangerous. You see how everything changes when you switch your perception to that level of gnosis. Because it wasn't an easy ride for me to have to come to terms with this, but I have to go with this information. Because it depends on life or death. That's how important this is. That's how crucial this is. And then you've got infiltration, and this is where I'm wrapping things up. Then you've got infiltration in the realms of esoteric knowledge, in the form of Mark Passio and Bernard Günther of Veil of Reality, who himself is a black magician, he himself is controlled by his witch. You see that? She controls him. Bernard Günther is controlled by, I don't even know what the fuck your name is. You little witch. I know who you are. Oh, and try and do your witchery on me. Because I can tell you, you're in for a blast. And that's leading you right into hell where you need to be and where you deserve to be. So just go on and attack me, because I know how the field works that controls you. Better be careful what you do. Lady, black witch, better be careful what you do, don't you? Oh, you've not encountered anyone on this level of consciousness. Well, everyone gets their first try. Isn't the first time the nicest time? Everyone there's a first time for everything, isn't it? Well, then I'm the first time for you to get your ass burnt. And I might even send you right into hell like was portrayed in the movie Ghost Rider. I'm going to put that underneath in the video, and I'm just going to note it so I don't forget. Because in the movie Ghost Rider, it's a stupid movie, don't waste your time. I wasted my time, unfortunately. But this scene shows what these witches and black magicians and archons, vampires, are in for. Now, this is the real liability kicking in. And what they are going to experience, okay, the enemies of life, what they're going to experience is hell. Hell is not something that we're going to experience. Nope. You see, they always invert things. They created religions. They say, if you don't go by the word of God, you're going to burn at the stakes of hell, which is what they're going to be. You're going to burn in fucking hell. And I don't want to have anything to do with your God. Nothing. For me, there is only me, my human family, Earth, and the source. That's what makes sense to me, not some hypothetical entity called God. who we've anthropomorphized. That's the correct concept of what they've done with God. Someone who's lurking behind the clouds and looking and seeing everything. No, that sounds like Big Brother, actually. And they've anthropomorphized, meaning that he looks like some dude and he's God. And no, it's all the Demi's game. The Hegelian dialectic. Oh, I'm Satan and that's God, when he controls both because he created all religions. Ideological subversion, as the great and late Yuri Bezmenov would say. Ideological subversion of useful idiots who think that they have been initiated into the 33rd degree of Freemasonry, or in the higher up degrees of Freemasonry, who connect the international networks on the higher level, like a guy called Henry Kissinger, who was in the Ur lodges above the 33rd degree, and they think they know pretty much everything. They brag about and they laugh about and they mock humanity when they sit there with their glass of wine, red wine normally, and eat their steaks and laugh about the ignorance of the human race. What they didn't expect is that not everyone is a useful idiot. That there's some individual goes by the name of Wybrow, and there's other individual who goes by the name of Eric Gaia, who do not portray the characteristics of what is termed a useful idiot that intelligence agencies set up. No, in actual fact, the time is now to reveal the great secret, that humanity has the first say in all of this. And there's people that do not fall for the ideological subversion on all levels of the Wetiko net. And they bust outside of the bubble of the Matrix. And the next thing you know, they're taking back the planet because it was theirs to begin with. So, having this Russian accent, I would say, is game over for the bad guys. Goodbye, you will not be missed. Because now you are the fucking useful idiots. Do you understand? Thank you. We're through. Go all the way. There's only two things one can do wrong on the path to truth. Okay? One is never starting, and the second is to not go all the way. Go all the way. Don't get caught in the net. I was in the David Icke net for 10 years. Fuck it. I busted it. Or 9 years. Yeah, 9 or 10 years. Fuck it. I busted it. So what? The Matrix is deeper, multi-dimensional. That's why it's a game. That's why it's really brilliant. Growth of consciousness. And now we are winning, and there's nothing throughout the multiverses that can stop us. I'm talking about victory, glory, and success. That's what we are now. They can't escalate World War III because of what we're doing here. It's called Checkmate, Wetiko. Decoding and eliminating World War III. And this was part 2. I want to thank everyone for their attention. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get some water and be back in 1 minute, and then we can have a chat about all of this. Thank you, everyone, for your attention, and much love to all of you.